All right, well, we're started.
All right.
Welcome
Hey.
to Beer, a skydiving podcast. This is our latest episode. What, third episode there, Joe?
Third episode. Yeah.
Yeah. How's
Uh, I've had some technical difficulties tonight, to say the
I
least.
it turns out I think we both have, actually. Your whole microphone thing may have been my fault.
See, I'm over here geeking out. Like I
I'm
can't.
I'm sorry.
That's not working.
I'm so, it everything said it was working on my side, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Cool.
But we got it. So,
Everything.
how's
Is everything mirrored correctly this time?
Yes,
Sweet.
but
Good
I can't
stuff.
read your sign.
It's probably out of focus. Whatever.
Yeah, it's out of focus, but it's the right way.
Yeah. It's the
So,
same sign as last week. Everybody's number one question at altitude is who farted. I'll have a new one next week.
okay. How's your week
Skydiver
been, man?
vocabulary. Crazy.
Just
Crazy.
working.
Yeah. Crazy work schedule. Trying to get stuff ready for Bridge Day. I'm gonna be
That's
up
this
late.
weekend.
Yeah, I'll be up late tonight to pack my rig, put a slider on, get that ready, etc.
It's not already
So
packed.
no, it's still unpacked from the last antenna jump I did.
How can you leave it unpacked? Like, why would you do that?
Lack of time, not lack of
Okay.
interest.
All right. Understood. It does take a while to pack a base rig, right? Like
It takes me about 20 minutes, I think.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
20
I've
minutes or
I've
so.
watched people do it, but it seems like it takes a while.
Till you get used to it, I think it takes. When I first started learning, it was probably an hour. Then it was 50 minutes. Then it was 45 minutes. Then it was 40 minutes. Then it was 30 minutes.
Is it sa-
Repetition.
is it safe to say though that it does take longer than a regular sport like parachute rig?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Oh, all right.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. There's guys out there that can flat pack in 15 minutes. There's guys out there that can pro pack in 15 minutes. It just depends how long they've been doing it, how good they are packing, and how meticulous or neat they want to be about it.
Yeah. All right. So next week we'll be talking all about Bridge Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some good video. That's some good stuff.
So on Saturday I got my 100th jump.
Yeah, you did.
You were
Saw you
there.
posted
That
it.
was
Yep.
awesome. Yeah.
You
We
got the horny gorilla.
yeah, we tried for the three-way, but Anthony kind of fell off, but that's okay. We still got it. It was still
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, the King Air's a tough one to try to launch from the door. So
Yeah.
I thought our best bet was just to leave and build a quick round and go from there. But I don't know. I think I've had 4 or 5 people on a gorilla before, but we built a round first and somehow pulled
And
it
then
off.
got to it. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Have geez, brain fart. Friday. Are you planning on jumping Friday?
I'll be on my way to Bridge Day.
You'll be on your way to Bridge Day. Yeah.
Yeah, registration doesn't open till noon, but it's like a 3.5 hour drive. So I want to get down there and just get registration and all that stuff, my bus pass taken care of, and then get to the Airbnb, check in. So I also got to meet the Bobs so I can pick up my second
Right.
rig. So I don't know if it's going to be packed already or not. So I'll have to ask them. But
Yeah, that
we'll
might
see.
take up
If not, no big
15 or
deal.
20 minutes of your time.
Yeah, no big deal. It's basically the same canopy I have now. It's an OSP2. It's a 270. So it's a 290 PIA standards. OSP measures by the bottom skin. So
Oh,
it's an
okay.
OSP2. Yeah, I have an OSP2 in my Apex 265 ultralight. 265 light. It's technically like a 282 square footage on the top
282.
skin. Yeah.
Is that how they're usually measured? Is on the top skin there?
I think a tear is the only one that measures the bottom skin to give you the canopy size. Everybody else uses what's called the PIA measuring standard, which is the top skin.
Okay.
So any skydiving canopy you get, it's gonna say whatever square footage it is.
All right. So we have a special episode tonight. We're gonna have our first guest, right?
Maybe
Yeah,
if
hopefully. That's the
if he
plan.
if he joins. Our plan was to start at like 7:45 and bullshit, and then have him join right at 8. And then we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it may have been me after all. I didn't think it was, but it may have been. So that
Yeah,
that might be my fault.
no big deal.
So, do you want to introduce him before he comes on? So, first of
Yeah,
all, we're talking about injuries this week, right? We're gonna
yeah.
talk
I
about
think we'll
injuries.
talk about injuries. Also, we had some sort of debatable questions on rigging stuff last week. Like stuff like what might cause a bag lock,
Yeah,
rigging mistakes. So I figured we could probably ask him those questions. But it's his name's Jeff Whitt. Most people that know him as Fluffy. He's a AFFI. He's a TI. He's a TI instructor examiner, so he can issue ratings. He's a master rigger, amongst other things. Nice guy, pretty experienced. Been around a while. Also a base jumper, so it'll be
Oh,
good
okay.
to it'd be good to pick his brain. And he's recently had an injury, so we can see how he's doing with that. But yeah, as soon as he's ready, if he can
All right.
get
I'll
on,
I'll send him a message here and tell him that we're ready for him.
we're ready for you, Fluffy.
So, other than work, what's the rest of your week been like?
Um, a little bit crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, my sister was admitted to the hospital, but we won't get into
Oh
super
shit.
details. She's doing all right.
Okay. Good. Sorry, man.
So, no, it's all good. She should be good. So,
All right.
if she isn't out tomorrow, I'll go visit her tomorrow, and then I'll leave for Bridge Day on Friday. So, other than that, man, it's the same old eat, work, sleep, repeat.
The three S's, right?
Yeah, the three S's.
Shit, shower, shave.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
There he
hey.
is. Hey, you
Hey,
got us?
yeah, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, we
Cool.
can hear you. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Nice to meet you. I'm Brian.
Brian? Yeah, good to meet you. I'm Jeff.
That's Fluffy.
Yep.
Yep. I think we met a couple times, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we've actually jumped together ever.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we met out at Air, Ohio. I think I was with Steph when we were getting our AFFIs
Oh, okay, yeah.
just this past year. That was my second go around.
Oh, nice.
I'd let it expire.
That'll happen.
No, but I figured you'd be a good guy to have on to just kind of talk about your experience and,
Yeah.
uh, your background. We also had some rigging questions, like for beginners, stuff that, what might cause certain issues for malfunctions, like a bag lock, things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
then also talk about just injuries, what can happen, what caused them,
Yeah,
and how they could have been avoided,
yeah,
myself included.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah,
Yeah.
happy to talk with you guys. So,
Well, Jeff, why don't you start off just sort of by, I know Joe already sort of introduced you a little bit, but why don't you, like, I don't know you. I've never met you before. This is the first time I'm seeing your face.
yeah.
But the only thing that I know really is that you've jumped for about 21 years, right? Is that
Yep.
accurate?
Yeah, yeah. Started jumping in '03. So, yeah, about 21 years ago.
It's about half my life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
My
been a
entire adult life.
yeah. No,
Yeah, for sure.
it's been fun for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah. So where did you start jumping at? How many jumps do you have? Like what kind of ratings? Like give us
yeah,
the rundown.
the rundown. Yeah, so I started at Air Ohio Skydiving Center back in '03. I have probably about 12,000 skydives, right around
Wow.
there. Um, my ratings, I have, let's see, I'm a coach examiner, I'm a tandem examiner, AFF instructor, and I'm a master rigger. So,
So by examiner, that means you are the person who signs the sheet that says you can be a TI, you can be a coach, you can,
Yep,
you know,
yep. So
yeah.
I'm the
Okay.
person that runs those courses. So if you want to become a coach, then I can run a coach course and train you to become a coach. And same thing with the tandem. If you want to become a tandem instructor, then yeah, I can do all that.
All right. Very cool.
So
That'll
yeah,
be me next year. I'm hoping to get my
yeah,
coach rating next year. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. It's a good place to start. I mean, that's the rating you need to start to get all the other ratings. So it's a good introductory rating for sure. So yeah,
Yeah, people.
the coach stuff we really teach you like how to teach skydiving. That's kind of the goal of it. It's how to teach.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's a teaching you how to teach
Hmm.
because I know when I took my coach course in Skydive Orange with the late Steve Hetrick, but that was back in 2013. And I feel like at 100 jumps, I had no business coaching anybody.
Yeah, yeah. You tend to feel like that when you first kind of start off with coaching, but it doesn't take much. You really just need to be a base and observe, and that's really the key of the coach.
Yeah, it's sort of a teaching learning
Hmm.
experience too.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, and I think it helps kind of keep people in the sport. Um, keeps them interested and jumping longer, and then kind of gives them an introduction to getting into the instructional side of it and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so,
It also might be a good excuse to get a turn rig.
yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about. Yeah,
yeah.
I think I
Uh,
got it. The first turn rig I got when I started, doing outside video
Mm, yeah,
and AFF.
yeah,
Then I turned pretty quickly,
yeah, yeah.
but a lot of people are doing hand cams these days.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, hand cams. I mean, I started doing hand cams when I first started doing tandems, and pretty much all my tandems were hand cams. I probably did like about 9,000 tandems, so I'm definitely
nice.
that's my
wow.
expertise is tandems.
Yeah, people ask me how many jumps I have, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I got like 800. I'm an instructor. And they're like, oh my god, that's a lot. I'm like, trust me, it's
Yeah,
not a lot.
yeah,
Like, the community is small. It's a niche in itself, I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot more skydivers today than there were, years ago, but still,
Hmm.
guys that have like you 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 plus jumps.
Hmm.
It's a long time.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
I
jumps.
think
yeah. It took a lot of years to get, and yeah.
there's sort of a continuum to that because even me with 100 jumps, when I tell my friends that don't skydive that I have 100 jumps, they say, "Oh wow, that's so many." I'm like, no, no, not even. You have no idea how few jumps 100 jumps is,
Yeah.
So I think that'll probably happen forever,
Oh yeah.
all the way through the progression.
Yeah, definitely the outside perspective, people think, 50 jumps is a lot or, because
Right.
it's 50 more than they've done, so,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so, but yeah.
So so
How many malfunctions do you have? Do you have all those recorded?
Uh, Not like super accurate. I, I only have two sport chops
Okay.
and probably maybe around 10 tandems or so, 10
That's
tandem chops, so not too many. But yeah,
line overs
um,
mostly.
mainly tension knots, really, of
Ah, okay.
tandems, and most of the times when people think they have a line over, it's probably most likely a tension knot. They
Yeah,
actually
give
look
it a.
very similar when you're looking up at
Yeah.
them. Um, so I think with tandems, tension knots are the most common, or just kind of blowing up a canopy. That's yeah,
Overuse.
overuse. I mean, because
so
yeah.
we actually talked about malfunctions on the last episode,
Hmm.
and we briefly brought up tension knots.
Hmm.
And I wanted to ask, but I didn't get the chance. To you, Joe, it's Jeff, since you're here and you're way more experienced than Joe. Who cares about Joe at this point? Um,
Chop liver.
we love you, Joe. What actually is a tension knot? I don't really know. And how does it
So,
form? Like,
well, I'll give you my interpretation of it. I've
Hmm.
never had one, but I try to avoid them by just untwisting your brake lines, looking at your brake lines when you're packing, You
Okay, so
know,
that's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
I think that's the number one cause, but
Yeah, I mean,
Fluffy, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
that's certainly a cause. Just not having proper line tension when you're packing too can cause that as well. So just kind of poor packing technique. But yeah, absolutely, twisted up brake lines can cause tension knots. So basically, what happens is when the canopy comes out, the lines, when they'll create a knot, but it's held by tension. And the only way to release that tension knot is to release the tension, and then it can, unwind. So if your lines are really scrambled when you're packing, and then it comes out into the air, when it starts to get tension, if they kind of loop on itself and create a knot, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's hard to picture. Like it's hard to picture in my head what you're talking about, but I mean I guess it just sort of gets maybe a loop in it, gets wrapped up and then just from the tension of the lines becoming taut,
Yep.
gets stuck that way and then obviously you've got one brake line longer than the other and it's going to
Mhm.
cause you to have some problems.
Yeah, I mean, it could not. It could be any of the lines too. Usually, it's just kind of a cluster of the lines. It's usually like one side of the canopy. So
Yeah, it's usually like
Hmm.
the CD and brake lines, right? Most of the
yeah, yeah. I
times.
mean, but it could be in the front too. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had tons of tension knots. When
Hmm.
after Ohio, I moved out to Vegas, and I was doing tandems in Vegas for about 3.5 years. We had tension knots on a daily basis, and that was really caused by the um, the altitude that we were jumping at. Our landing area was at like 2,500 feet, and then with the heat, the density altitude we were opening was,
Sure.
was very high. So tension knots were, and plus it was a desert environment, and they packed very fast there because it was a tandem factory, and we got tension knots on a daily basis, so we learned how to get out of them.
Quick snap
Quick,
of the rears.
yeah. So the best way to get out of tension knots really is you need to pull. You got to figure out like what side the canopy it's on. So if it's on the left side, then you got to figure out if it's on the front or the rear.
And
Just
then
by
try to
looking at.
just give it a snap.
Yeah. So if you figure out like the rear, you just pull that rear riser down as far as you can, and then you let it go. So it'll take 2 or 3 times to do it, and then obviously keep track of your altimeter. But and as you're pulling it down, you're now spinning faster typically. You know what I mean? So because you're
Right.
adding more
Yeah.
input, so it can get pretty wild. Um, but that's the best way to do it because when you let it go, then the lines have a chance to release that tension, get slack in the lines, and that slack can actually undo the tension out. So.
Undo it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you in um did you say Arizona? You're in Arizona now?
No, no, no. I'm back in Ohio now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I started off at Air Ohio. I then moved to Vegas. Worked in
I'm
Vegas.
sorry, Vegas.
Yeah, worked in Vegas for about 3.5 years. Then the manager up in Vegas, he wanted to open his own drop zone up in New York. So him and I opened a drop zone in
Is that
Syracuse,
Rochester?
Syracuse, New York. Yeah,
Syracuse.
just outside of Syracuse. I was there and helped run that drop zone for 7 years, and it's still running today. Um, and then I moved there. Let's see, I started going between Ohio down at between Start skydiving and Texas Spaceland in the winters, so I was traveling back and forth between those two. And then I was at Start for a couple years, and then I actually went back up to Air Ohio for the last couple years now. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of my
So
progress.
what
So have you jumped since or you want to I
Yeah,
guess explain what your injury was and
yeah,
where
yeah,
and when and how your
well,
recovery's
yeah.
been.
well, before we get into that, what
Okay.
I don't think you've told us, Jeff,
Hmm.
what got you into skydiving? Like
Ooh.
what like sparked the interest? Like how'd you start jumping?
I was actually in high school when I did my first 5 jumps, and I had a buddy who jumped in the fall. He did an AFF jump, and he like told me about it, and I didn't turn 18 until like March. And he was telling me all about it, and I was like, "That's amazing. That sounds awesome. Like, I want to try that." He's like, "Well, you gotta be 18." I was like, "Cool." So like, come like April, I signed up, and I didn't know anything about it. He signed up for an AFF, so I didn't. I was just like, "Cool, I'll sign up for an AFF. That sounds awesome." And
Let's do it.
yeah, so I went up to Air Ohio and did a jump, and I just got hooked, and I just kept.
Yeah.
I think I was working at a Dairy Queen at a time, and I was
I was gonna ask was
yeah,
what you worked on the Pack-A-Mat too to fund your
yeah. I mean,
new habit or
I took my
hobby.
paycheck, and how many jumps can this get me? And I got my license right before I went to college, and then I jumped all through college, and I really got my instructional ratings to help offset and pay for my fun jumps and gear and whatnot, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so
All right. Okay. Now, Joe, you can continue. I just thought we should probably ask.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Jeff got into it. So,
yeah.
yeah. Speaking of getting started, I found my VHS tape today.
Oh yeah.
did you?
Yeah, I have my first tandem at Z
Oh
Hills
nice. Yeah,
in like 2001.
yeah, I have a VHS somewhere, and I actually have like still photos from like an actual
Yeah.
film camera. Um, but yeah, I don't know where it is. I know I transferred it to a computer at one point, but I gotta find those.
Yeah, I reached out to a
Yeah.
company actually this week to like, hey, I got a VHS tape. Can you guys digitize it for me? Still waiting for them to get back to me, but
Okay. Yeah.
they say if you have it, we can do it.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Is it Legacy Box by any chance?
I'm not sure. Honestly,
So
I'd have to look it up.
I've used Legacy Box to do that before, and they do a good job. They send you either like a CD or a thumb drive or whatever of all your stuff. But maybe you want to check them out.
Yeah, I want it on a thumb drive, obviously, so I can put it on the
Yeah.
computer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can show everybody how stupid I looked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess back in the day when I did it, people still used CD-ROMs, like a CD, but people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, like so. I mean, obviously, with your ratings and your years of experience, you recently had an accident, and within what the last 2 years, right?
yeah. Well, about a year and a
It,
half ago. So
is that your first injury?
that was my first injury. That was actually the first time I've ever broken a bone in my life. So, and I
Yeah,
did
Oh,
a,
wow.
I did a number on
yeah,
that. So,
yeah, um, yeah. I did mine. You base jump. You
yep.
did some base jumping too, right?
Yeah. So I base jump. I actually started a company that I designed and manufactured gear for base jumping. So, have
Oh,
you ever heard
wow.
of Skunk 8 Base?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So,
That's probably older than me.
yeah, so I probably
Like
started
I mean,
it.
my experience. It's
Yeah,
probably
probably 10, 11 years ago. That's probably when I started it. So
okay. Yeah.
I still have a website, but I don't make any gear right now. So but
As I say,
Yeah.
is
No.
it still around? Is it operational?
I haven't made any gear in a while, but I probably made 100 rigs or so, and like
Nice.
accessories and stash bags, and started getting into pilot chutes. It just got to a point that I actually was getting really busy. I needed to grow, and I needed to like dump a lot of money into it, and I just didn't have the money to dump into it at the time, and so I needed to like kind of like save up. So I kind of put it on pause, and then life got in the way, and
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one of those things. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I know someone who's going to need their first base rig next year, so
yeah,
you know, just saying, if you want to break out the sewing
yeah,
machine, I'd be
yeah,
happy to have a custom rig.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah. I broke my heel just this past May over in Croatia
ooh,
on
yeah,
a base jump at the bridge there.
okay, yeah,
I just let my canopy surge just a little too quick and just enough to break it.
yeah. That'll
So
that'll happen.
yeah,
Injuries suck.
yeah, user error for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I came in quarter breaks and I probably let up like 2 inches, enough to get it going where I stabbed it out to slow me down enough not to crush it.
Yeah,
But I ended up breaking it in two places, and
yeah,
it's been nothing but a problem since.
yeah. It's injuries. Injuries suck. Don't I know it?
Yeah. Well, you want to tell us, yeah, sort of like how your injury occurred, and I know I could have totally avoided mine if I'd have just PLF'd, but
Yeah.
I was fixated on accuracy that day,
Hmm.
and I picked my spot, and I was hitting that, and I just got fixated, and I'm like, that's where I want to land,
Yeah.
and if I'd have just PLF'd, man, like you're taught to,
Yeah.
it would have been totally avoidable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I kind of stepped out, like let out with my right foot, and that's what landed first. And
Hmm.
I think a good old fashioned PLF, I would have been fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But
Oh, so yeah, my injury. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say, I just want to apologize for all the people that were there that day. It was a pretty rough injury, and to Cecil too. I always felt bad for just totally destroying myself at his drop zone, and everyone had to like witness that. It's not something I want to like get to the support, but and definitely I want to thank everybody that was there and helped me out. I know someone put a tourniquet on my leg, which probably saved me for sure.
yeah,
Because I had a ton of blood, lost a ton of blood. So, but basically the injury, I guess we'll get into the details of it. I swoop, I jump a 79 VK, or I guess I did.
a
uh,
napkin.
yeah,
A postage stamp.
yeah, and I've swooped for years. I started swooping on the velos. I don't know, back in probably '06, '07. So, and I've been,
That's so Velo's, that's cross brace canopy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That was like it was like the Valkyries back in the day. It was
Yeah,
the swooping canopy for a long, long time. And then the Valkyries came out, and those were like just the most, you know, the incredible canopy now. So for sure. Um, so I was swooping. I pretty much land was swoop pretty much on every jump on my rig. So I'm very current with it. I was doing what was I doing? I was doing a 450. Which I was current with a 450. I was probably, I don't know, my fourth year doing 450s, fourth season doing them. So
That's the
so yeah,
spiral,
Brian.
right?
yeah, the
That's the
Yeah, I
spiral.
was gonna
spiral, right?
say, if
Yeah.
Brian, you don't know, so any new person or newer jumper listening to that, that's
Yeah.
the degree that you're turning to
Yes.
come in on final,
Yep. So that's the degree. So 450 degree
which which
turn.
450 is very aggressive.
It is. Yeah.
270 is pretty aggressive, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
270 is aggressive. 450 is like the next step up. I
Yeah,
started actually even working on like 810s, those were super fun.
insane.
Yeah, those were fun. I didn't do too many of them, but those were more just pure entertainment.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was very good at the 450s. I was comfortable with them. I was comfortable coming out low on them, comfortable coming out high on them, kind of knowing what to do and stuff like that. That day, it was early in the season. It was May 5th, so it was pretty early in the season. I
Was this
had
2022 or 23?
23, so yeah, just like a year and a half ago. So last season, so May of last
Okay.
season.
So I started jumping there in May of last year. So I
Okay.
wonder if maybe I was even there.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
You,
You probably remember.
yeah.
Well,
Trust me.
I remember
You just
someone.
got done doing a TI course, right?
It was a coach course, so yeah,
Coach
yeah,
course. Okay, yeah, because you were there doing a coach
yeah, I
course.
was doing a coach course. We're in the middle of it. We're just doing, a practice fun jump. It wasn't like part of the course or anything. Um, so, but yeah, I was doing the 450. From what I remember of it, I knew I started the turn high. I usually start my turn at 1150, so 1150 feet. That's when I usually do my turn. That's like average. Um, because I was like, well, it's my first jump out on the drop zone. I've swooped in PA before, so I was comfortable there. I've jumped there before, and I was like, but first jump of the day, I usually raise my turn, and I know I started my turn at 1250 that jump. Now when I started the turn, I got on double fronts. That's how I always start. And I remember during it going, you're spending too long on your fronts. You know, like you need to start this turn. And then I started the turn, and usually I start pretty slow and gradual and kind of speed it up. And I started the turn, I was going, you're going too slow, you know, just my thought process through the turn. And you know, that's how you adjust and figure it out. But I was like, you're going too slow, you need to speed this up. And so I started speeding it up, and usually when I get to the 270 mark, so you have like a 180 left, is usually when I pause and I like really assess my height, and I can, you know, either pause there and wait for the snap or just continue around. But I felt like I was like, oh man, you're too long on your fronts, you were too slow in the beginning, you just need to whip this around. And I got to that 270 mark and I didn't even pause, I just whipped it around. I came out of it and I was like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
I am way too low. Um, I immediately got on my toggles. I skipped the rears, got on the toggles. And you know that feeling of when you pull the toggles down and you go,
And nothing's there.
that's not enough,
Yeah.
that's, your heart sinks and you go, oh no.
Yeah.
So that was a feeling.
This is gonna be bad.
Yeah, and and I have the skill enough that I'm not going to pull them down far enough that I'm going to stall the canopy, because that could have been a worse outcome. So I'm pushing the limits as far as I can pull them down to try to level out the canopy, and I go, that's not enough. And the last thing I remembered before I hit was I told myself, this is going to hurt.
Yeah.
And it did. I hit. I pretty much immediately blacked out. Was knocked out. So I don't know if I tumbled. I have no idea. I remember waking up. There was a ton of people around me. I couldn't really open my eyes at that point, and I knew I was in pain. And I was like, "Oh man, this is weird." I guess I hit pretty hard. If there's people around me like trying to assess me, like
Something's not right.
yeah,
Here. Something's going on.
And then I blacked out again. And then I woke up in the ambulance, and the ambulance was taking me to the life flight, which was on the airport, which was lucky.
Yeah, luckily, right?
Yeah.
Right there at the FBO, yeah.
Yeah, so they were, transporting me around to like the other entrance, and then, then they, told me I was going for a helicopter ride, and I was like, oh, cool, helicopter ride. That's fun.
I'm sure they had given you something by then too, some morphine or something.
Well, they gave me couple shots of fentanyl in the helicopter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'm assuming they gave me something, but I was in definitely a lot of pain. But like it was funny. It never really clicked that I was that messed up. Like you think, getting a life flight, you would think you were probably pretty messed up, but
yeah.
I remember telling the flight medic, I was like, "Hey, take me to the best hospital," and he was like, "How about we take you to the closest hospital?" that's fair, I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and so,
Everything is best.
yeah. It didn't really hit me until like, they wheel me in. I was pretty much awake for the whole plane ride or the helicopter ride in, and it was a 12-minute flight to Youngstown, and got in. They wheel you in. It's like just like the movies. You're laying on your back. You're seeing all these lights going by. And you're just like, and then you get to a room and it's just full of doctors and nurses, like 15 of them. And it was like when the flight medic was going over my injuries, that's when I realized I was like, ooh.
Oh shit.
I messed myself up pretty bad. Like this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, so my injuries, I ended up compounding my femur, so it was sticking out of my skin. When he said that, that's when it really kind of hit. I was like, ooh, that's
That's
bad.
not good.
Yeah. I shattered my pelvis in multiple places, really bad in the front. Blew apart like my SI joint in the back. I broke off a whole knob on my sacrum, just completely broke off a knob in there. And then I compression fractured 3 of my vertebrae, like T4, 5, and 12, somewhere in there. So compression fractures there.
Did you have to get those? Did they fuse those? You have to...
No, the back was like the least of my troubles. So
Oh,
I
thank goodness, though. I mean, I
yeah,
know it's bad, but like I know
yeah.
back surgeries, like sometimes
Oh yeah.
you know, once you have back surgery, it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
over.
Oh, for sure. So the back was like the least of my worries of the injuries. Like I actually never felt any back pain. Like so, we were almost wondering if like the compression fractures were from like a previously there, but they couldn't really tell,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah,
never really felt pain of it. But I was in like kind of like a temporary like a back brace to just in case, But
yeah.
the
Did you ever
definitely the
see?
pelvis was and the femur were the worst of everything. So yeah.
Did you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great show.
with Dee and the aluminum monster with the back brace? Was it like that?
Oh yeah, not
You
quite
know what
like
I'm
that.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, not quite like that, but
No.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so I spent 6 weeks in the hospital, like a week in ICU. I had two surgeries, kind of back to back. I have basically a rod in my femur with multiple screws, and then I got a external fixator on the front of the pelvis. I had that on for 8 weeks. So, and then I had,
Just because of the swelling so big, so
well,
bad they couldn't.
that was to hold the front of my pelvis together because I really shattered the front left side like really bad.
Yeah,
And they actually wanted to put hardware there, but it was so shattered that they couldn't. So they put an external fixator to like hold and mend everything together while it healed.
yeah.
And then I have a giant SI screw in the back going right into my sacrum from my hip to the sacrum.
God.
So, um, but yeah, I got multiple, a few surgeries there. I was in the ICU for like a week. Had a pretty bad infection that they were definitely worried about. They gave me 4 pints of blood in the helicopter on the way over, and then I got another 4 pints of blood over the next
Yowza.
2 days at the hospital. So like I lost a ton of blood. So whoever put a tourniquet on me, thank you. I probably saved me. That was probably
They
pretty
got they
good.
got 4 pints in you within 12
I
minutes on the
I
helicopter ride.
that's what they said.
Wow.
I don't know how, but or yeah,
Must have had a
because I
couple
well
different entry points.
yeah, and I think you kind of sit on the tarmac for a while, in the helicopter,
Yeah.
you're not moving right away, so you're sitting there for a while. I don't know how long, but it was definitely a while before we flew out and stuff like that. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. So,
That's absolutely insane.
but yeah, so a week in ICU and then a week just in normal room care, and then I was in 4 weeks of rehab in the hospital, and then I got discharged, and I did not. I still needed to be there for sure. I need to like round the clock clear, but insurance was just like, no, we're not gonna pay. We're not
Oh,
gonna pay anymore. You know what I mean? It was
good old
yeah,
American
yeah.
private
We,
health
we
care.
you've been in here for 6 weeks. Like we had
Enough.
to fight for like an extra week. You know what I mean? It was one of those like
Yeah.
It's
um,
ridiculous.
it was. So I had to go home with still an external fixator on my pelvis, and I was in a hospital bed at home. Luckily, my parents, the three of them, my mom, dad, and stepdad, they all took care of me and really nursed me back. And I had to
Nice.
kind of relearn to walk again in a way.
Yeah,
And so,
physical
Sure.
therapy, I'm sure.
oh yeah, I had in-home physical therapy for like a month or two, and then I was able to finally go to an actual physical therapy place, and yeah, it's been a
So, how have you had any, complications since,
yeah.
ending physical therapy? Just
So my femur, it actually didn't heal. Part of the bone died. That was fun. So I had to get another
Oh shit.
surgery in November, where it was actually like a couple surgeries. They thought it was like an infection at first, and then when they finally got in there, they actually realized part of the femur bone died, so they had to cut a chunk of the femur out and put artificial
goodness.
bone in and put a new rod in and stuff like that. And then because of where I broke the knob off of my sacrum, It's now sitting and resting on my sciatic nerve, which is super fun.
Oh, so yeah, that's
So
probably
I get,
delightful.
yeah, I get nerve issues in my left foot because of that. So they actually during that surgery they did some like nerve decompression stuff to try to help with that. And so as far as like I'm walking fine now. I was on like a walker. First you start off with parallel
Yeah, I think
bars. And,
last when I saw you last, you were using a cane, so you're at least walking, but still
yeah,
assisted.
yeah. So yeah, so I was on a walker and then a cane for a while, and then now I'm, you couldn't even tell that I've, injured. I probably can't like run. Not that I want to, but like,
I can't run.
yeah,
I still
yeah.
can't run.
So, but not
I
that
just busted my heel.
yeah, not that I even want to, but I could probably run if I have to, but it would be comfortable. So, it's one of
Yeah.
those,
Have you jumped again
I
since
have,
recovery?
I have not. Yeah, I still haven't
Yeah.
jumped yet.
What are your thoughts on that?
I was going to say, do you intend to?
I don't know. I know I want to do at least a couple jumps just so that like if I decide to not jump again, that wasn't my last jump. I don't want to end on that note. I don't want to
Yeah,
end on that.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't. I'm pretty still undecided if I'm ever gonna like really jump again. That injury is still like it's still really real. Um,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah, we have
yeah.
we have a newer jumper at Skydive PA that she recently uh, pounded in pretty good. She broke her femur and her ankle or shattered her heel.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she broke her femur close enough to her knee that they had to plate and screws and they couldn't put a rod in it.
Yep.
So she's got a long recovery. And she asked me, have you ever, after your injury, did you think about not jumping? And I was like, not at all.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't as serious as yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yours.
Yeah,
Like
so
that's a
Yeah.
pretty serious injury.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I went up the next day and threw a crutch over the bridge and jumped
Yeah.
again,
Oh yeah.
even because I knew my heel was broke.
Yeah.
Because I was there, and I was getting one more in. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and I've had other injuries where I've like haven't broken anything, but I've like destroyed ligaments in my ankle, and then I couldn't wait
like
to
grade 2, grade 3 sprains and
yeah, well, I had
tears.
yeah, I had tears. I had to get surgery on mine, but it's one of those. I was just itching to get jumping again, stuff like that. But this
Yeah.
one, it's a little too real. Like that injury is still like, I still remember it.
Yeah.
And like the pain and like how much work I had to put in just to like walk again and get to back.
Yeah.
And technically I'm still recovering too. I'm still
Yeah,
healing
me
and-
too. Not to the extent like you are,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I get plantar fasciitis and metatarsalgia, and I can't walk on the hardwood floor without a slide or a slipper on, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty much still healing too. I got lucky that mine didn't shatter and have to be reconstructed. I only got 4 screws,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
So
not
Jeff,
fun.
Yeah.
in a previous life, I was in the army. I was in the infantry, and I got blown up by a car bomb, and I got shot.
Oof.
Your injuries from that swoop, so much worse than getting blown up,
Oh,
like
wow. That's
by
crazy.
a freaking exploding car.
That's crazy.
Like I had a bunch of shrapnel and stuff, but
Yeah.
and a couple bullet holes, but like nothing like what you are describing. I thought for like just going through what I've been through, I thought, man, no one will ever be able to hit me as hard as I've been hit before. I think you just proved me wrong. Like
That's crazy.
now I'm a little worried.
Yeah, well, maybe from a physical standpoint, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's the nature of our sport is that, things can happen. I never thought, maybe that's some complacency of, I never thought I would get that injured ever in my life. Especially at the skill level that I was at,
Sure.
and there's a lot of people that were shocked that, because they've seen my canopy skills and they never thought I was gonna, wreck myself on a swoop like that. They just never.
yeah,
It didn't. Some people you look at and you're like, oh man, I'm waiting for you to get hurt. You know what I mean? It's
That
like,
guy's gonna pound
yeah,
in
yeah.
soon.
Yeah, exactly. But that was never like
Uh,
no one ever thought that. There's so many people that came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, I'm shocked that you're the one who got
Yeah.
that messed up." And
Yeah.
I never thought, at my skill level, I'd do that. But it had. I think there's a number of factors. There's, you know, it was early in the season. I probably didn't have that many jumps into the season. I was definitely at a,
Smaller LZ.
smaller LZ and a different drop zone, so my my sight pictures weren't, quite there. I didn't jump too much the year before. I just had a kid the year before, so like I was jumping the year, excuse me, the year before, but not like, super amount like I used to do. And then I definitely gained weight over the winter, so I was loading my canopy up pretty high. I was definitely over, when I was looking back at it, I was like, man, I was over a 3-to-1 on the on that canopy. So
Yeah,
like that, there's a number of factors, and I think that kind of led up to it, kind of why it happened. I probably should have been more conservative. Maybe done a 90 coming in looking back at it. But at the same time, when you're so used to the 450, like a 270 would have been not a current turn for me, because
Sure.
I've been doing 450s for the last 4 years or 4 seasons, and so only a few of those would have been 270s, where
Yeah.
95% of those have been 450s. So like it's the turn you feel comfortable with. You actually feel more current with that turn and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
That was actually, I was gonna say that was actually my first thought when you said it was at the beginning of May. I was like, it must have been, you couldn't have had that many jumps, already, and
probably
just
a handful, maybe 5-10 at that point, for the year.
Yeah.
Because I was out at Air Ohio, I know, for the couple weeks before. I think there was even an OSU weekend, so big AFF weekend and stuff like that. So
Yeah, they got that college
yeah,
course that they do for the college students.
Yep. So I know I was jumping that year, but it wasn't. I knew I'd be surprised if I had 10 going into that, that season already. That was.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sound crass or anything, but I'm gonna have to look at my logbook, because the day that I did my first IAD jump at Skydive, Pennsylvania, it was either late April or the beginning of May.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but someone just pounded it into the ground. Like, first day I was there,
Okay.
you could tell that when they hit, they were out. Like, their canopy just drug them across the ground like a rag
Well,
doll.
it might be. There's only been 2 major injuries, I think.
Was
So-
There's been a sport jumper in the last 2 years. to
I'm
that.
wondering if my very first day jumping was your last day jumping.
It could have been. So
There've been some other injuries, but not to
Yeah.
like.
do you remember?
Yeah.
It was a blue. I was under a blue canopy. Do you remember if it was a blue canopy or
I don't. But
Yeah.
What
I'll
was the
go.
date?
Well, you said May 5th.
May 5th? Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
So I'll go back in my logbook and see if my IAD jump was on May 5th.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was one jump away from getting my tacos and margaritas that night. So
Ah.
I was like, it was funny. It was one of those like, we're like, oh, should we do a jump, or should we just not? Like, I was like, well, we can do a practice jump. Let's kind of break up the day a little bit, give everybody, a practice jump and whatnot.
It's always that last minute.
Yeah, and it was like
I used to ride dirt bikes a lot, and
Yeah.
I got some pretty major knee injuries once because
Yeah.
everybody said, "Well, we're going back out," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to wear my shin or my knee pads because I'm not going to do anything stupid.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
going to cruise around." And then you end up hitting a 100-foot, double jump and high side, and then landing on your knees.
yeah. Like, well, that was.
That's how that always happens.
Yeah.
At
Absolutely.
last
So,
minute, let's just go for
let's
it.
go for it. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. So.
Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, I know the USPA has finally sort of initiated some sort of downsizing program or recommendations to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something else I wanted to get your opinion on
Oh,
too.
for sure. It's great to follow. people need to take canopy courses. I continue to take canopy courses. I always try to take canopy courses every couple years. I
Yeah.
was probably just about due for another one coming up. It was, you know,
Yeah, I'm due.
yeah,
I'm due definitely.
I love to continue to learn, and I'm always trying to, but a lot too, like at my level with other people swooping, we all kind of like coached each other. We'd watch each other's swoops and we'd critique and we say, all right, how did I do on that? Like, oh, that looked really good, or and you self-evaluate a lot of your own jumps and just try to
Yeah.
improve. And you get to a point with the swoops that you can come out high, you can come out low, and you know how to fix it, and you know how to adjust the turn, and you're thinking through the whole turn, and you're constantly tweaking it. And so I always said in the sport, when I first started jumping, is like the day I stop learning is the day I hang up my gear. Because if I'm
Yeah.
not learning
Yep.
anymore, there's no point of doing the sport anymore. So,
Yeah, I kind
Right.
of put the same message out there on our Facebook page. Like,
hmm
I made a disclaimer of whatever advice or questions I answer,
yeah,
you do at your own risk.
yeah, yeah,
Please seek out,
yeah,
whatever discipline you're doing.
yeah,
Seek out a qualified, seasoned professional.
yeah,
I'm qualified to be an AFFI to answer, student questions, teach
yeah,
students, but I wouldn't be the guy to go to for entry to swooping.
yeah, yeah.
So
So,
yeah, definitely enter either sport, skydiving or base, with the mindset and mentality of
hmm
always learning,
oh yeah,
because you're never gonna know everything.
yeah.
The minute you think you know everything,
hmm
you're gonna find out you don't.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely. So yeah, I was
But
pretty much always in a constant state of trying to learn and improve. But yeah, I mean, downsizing guidelines it's a great way because people always want to get to smaller and smaller canopies. You need to have the skills that you need to develop the skills on the larger canopy, because going to a smaller canopy, you're not going to develop those skills. You know what I mean? You need to develop them on the larger canopy where it's safe. Once you've mastered that, then you go down and you relearn all those skills on the new canopy. And you
hmm
constantly do that,
Right.
over and over. I've jumped so many sizes of canopies, and, it took me a long time to get me to the 79. You know what I mean? So.
yeah, the smallest I've ever jumped was a 150.
Mhm.
I'm like 235 out the door,
Mhm.
and I have a 190, and I even thought about upsizing
Yeah, yeah,
next year.
yeah,
To be honest,
yeah.
you know,
There's
and
nothing
I'm
wrong
not
with
even that
that.
super heavy.
Yeah,
No,
there's nothing
no,
wrong with that. So, yeah, not at all.
just
So,
to just to practice those skills. You're like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
learning to
absolutely.
turn into swooping and
Yeah,
stuff. It's
yeah, and
better to learn on a bigger canopy that's more forgiving than,
mhm.
hey, I'm gonna swoop. I'm gonna go get a 135
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll be good to
Oh
go.
yeah. I mean, I started swooping on a 170. You know what I mean? That's where I learned to swoop.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
some
yeah,
students have asked me, "Hey, when can I swoop?" I'm like, well, that's not for me to
yeah,
determine.
yeah,
One, two. I said you can start swooping at anything as large as a 170, and it also has,
yeah,
it depends on wing loading too. You can make a higher, a larger square foot canopy, perform better with a lot, a heavier wing
oh
loading.
yeah,
So it depends, but
yep.
definitely seek out
Oh yeah.
somebody that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of canopy courses. I love taking canopy courses. I think, I always still learned a lot. Like, I left canopy courses even at my skill level, just going, wow, that was awesome. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
learned a lot that weekend.
Plus the equipment and even the canopies are designed and trimmed a little differently than, like, say when you started or when I
Oh
started.
yeah.
Like when I was jumping like full time, 2012, 2013, 2014, jumping a lot.
hmm
I mean, the canopies even now are trimmed differently and built differently and different flare characteristics.
hmm
So
Oh yeah, for sure. And the difference between going from the Velocity to the Valkyrie, I mean, that's just like a night and day difference. And forever the Velocity was this super high performance canopy that, like, And now it's kind of like the trainer canopy to get to the Valkyrie. You know what I mean? It's like the training wheels. You know what I mean? So it's,
Yeah.
but it's still like it's a dangerous canopy. You know what I mean? They come in very fast, and you have to have the skills in order to fly it. You know, it's
Break your bad habits on a
So,
larger canopy.
yeah.
so are you saying that my 21-year-old Pilot 188 is not like the bleeding edge of canopy technology, Joe?
I
Is
mean,
that
it's
is that what you're saying?
it's still a great canopy. It's it's like
Yeah.
right at it's based on like the Saber 2 platform. It's
Yeah.
they're the tried and true canopy. You know what I mean? It's just
Pilots.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pilots are pretty much the same as a Saber 2. They're those are tried and
Hmm.
true. Those are great.
I didn't realize that they were
They're
similar to Saber 2s.
yeah,
But
they'd be very similar to like a Saber 2. That's kind of like the platform model. Just Aerodyne's version of it. So.
Yeah.
very cool. So Jeff, you haven't jumped in I guess a year and a half or so, right?
Yep. hmm
Um, do you miss it? Like, is it hard to
I
not
do.
jump?
Yeah, like it's a weird feeling because, well, it's kind of weird that, for 21 years, like I always were like super eager to jump, and I was like, man, I'm always itching to jump, and just like, and it's a weird feeling. Like I miss it, but at the same time, like I don't. It's like I don't have an interest in jumping, and that I think is a weird. Like I've had such an interest for 20 some years, wanting to jump, and now I'm like, oh, where's that? Where is that feeling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
what I miss most about the sport is the people. I think the community in skydiving is
Camaraderie
yeah,
and just the social
yeah,
aspect.
absolutely. So I made trips down to the drop zone this year, and helped out. I should have probably made more. And I still actually have my ratings. Sherry helped me out with the board. I actually have waivers for my ratings right now to not jump.
oh,
So
cool.
all my ratings are
Yeah.
actually current, and I can teach basically all the ground stuff, and then someone else can do the jumps. I'm still going to continue with that. Even if I don't jump, I'm going to continue teaching ground stuff,
Teaching.
and
Yeah.
I can still hold coach courses and tandem courses and not do the jumps, and have
Yeah.
evaluators do my jumps. But I also have a large knowledge base in skydiving, and I want to
Sure.
continue to share that knowledge. I mean, I think I have a lot of knowledge, I have a lot of skill, and I don't want that to go to waste either. I spent a long time, pretty much, half my life,
Acquiring all
yeah,
that
half my
knowledge.
life,
And
doing that, and yeah, acquiring it, and perfecting it, and I want to share that and give back to the community still, and I love teaching people and whatnot. So yeah,
yeah.
so
Yep, that's why I got my FFI was because I liked teaching and helping other people out,
yeah,
because I was that guy once that like, what do I do? Who do I talk
yeah,
to?
yeah, yeah.
And you never get those first jumps back, but
Oh yeah,
you can sort of experience that when you're teaching like a new student,
yep,
you kind of get that new jump feeling.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
absolutely. And that's how like doing tandems was, is kind of relive that first jump of,
yeah,
especially when you're open up under canopy and you just hear their expression when they're under canopy. That's why people are tandem instructors, is right there, is that their excitement level when you open the canopy. It's just awesome.
yeah,
So
mind blown.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And and majority of my skills are tandems. That is where I'm like truly an expert in, is tandems. And I want to share that knowledge. Share everything I have with tandems. And that's why I became a tandem examiner, is to really share that, and I want to continue that and be able to pass on my knowledge to the
Yeah,
younger generations, and make sure they're safe and whatnot.
yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
people get that A license and get that membership, and then that's it.
Yeah. People.
Speaking of, you can
Yeah.
still cast a vote for the elections for the
Yeah.
USPA
Yeah. Absolutely.
board
Everybody should vote.
until the
Um, yeah. Absolutely.
yep till the 31st.
Yeah.
USPA.org.
Yeah.
If you're a member, you can vote.
Yeah. absolutely
I'll
vote.
tell
That's
you who to vote for. I
certainly
know who I
important.
voted for.
Certainly important to vote. Yeah.
Yeah, the board. I don't think. I know as a newer jumper back, 12 years ago or whatever.
Hmm.
Like I didn't know what the USPA did,
Hmm.
but that's they're the board and the organization are what keep us in the air
Oh,
jumping.
for sure. Yeah, they do a
They
lot
fight
of
for
behind the
our.
scenes.
I
Yeah.
mean, somebody's got to write all those FARs and BSRs and
Hmm.
like the SIM and the ISP and the IRM.
Oh yeah.
Somebody wrote that,
Yeah.
and it took a long
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah. And develop all the training programs for not just students but also instructors, and
Hmm.
um, it's a lot. Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
there's good stuff. I've
There isn't anything in any of those manuals that isn't supposed to be there.
yeah yeah
Like
yeah.
a lot of people are like, this stuff BS.
Oh no.
It's in there for a
Oh,
reason,
for
you
sure.
know.
Yeah,
If it
absolutely.
isn't if it isn't just for safety reasons, it's in there because the FAA requires it, or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So,
So
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think the writing is actually the easy part, but getting the FAA to sign off on it, that's the hard part.
well, I don't think that really the FAA like really is too much involved with like when we write, BSRs and stuff like that. They like
yeah,
to stay out of it.
yeah,
Oh,
we're sort
really?
of we're well,
Yeah.
yeah. The USPA is basically we're a self-governed,
Hmm.
self-regulated sport,
Hmm.
right? We're allowed to jump pretty much at any airport that's not restricted.
Hmm.
You know, just because it isn't a DZ, you
Yeah.
can still technically go to your regional airport, take off, and
Hmm.
jump and land. But USPA helps, be the middleman so the FAA doesn't.
Doesn't have to regulate it really.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah, we don't want them.
we don't want
to
we don't want the
reg-
FAA to
Oh,
regulate
yeah,
us.
no.
We want the USPA to definitely to regulate
Yeah.
us and
Yeah,
and to
I
govern
appreciate
us.
all those. I appreciate all the board members do
Oh,
for sure.
for sure, they do.
They keep things in check.
Absolutely, and they don't. They do it up for the love of the sport because they don't get paid for that. It's not a paid position.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
That's people are like, how much do you make being an AFFI? I'm like, dude, I didn't get my AFFI to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I'm not making TI money turning 12, 15,
Oh yeah, yeah.
jumps a day.
Yeah.
I do it because I like it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
doing the ground preps and teaching the students
Hmm.
and taking them on their Cat A's, Cat B's, and watching them progress.
Yeah.
I make a couple bucks to offset my fun jumps. Cool.
Yeah.
But I do it because I like to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and that's what I think too missing about the sport. Because I used to do it full time. That was my full time gig for years. So as soon as I graduated college in '08, I decided to become full time, and so I was full time up until my accident, really.
Yeah.
So that's been a change because I kind of had to do like a whole new career change.
That's a big change, man. That's a long time to,
Yeah,
and then
from
sort of having to redirect.
yeah, so from going from like shorts and a t-shirt and sandals every day and being outside and being active, now I sit at a desk all day, so that's a big change.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's but I enjoy it. I do insurance now, which is kind of funny. It's like a complete opposite of kind of careers. But I really enjoy it. I'm with a good agency with a good group of people, and
Good.
it's that makes it nice. But it's certainly an adjustment going from being a full-time skydiver to sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
You don't do life insurance, do you?
I do, yeah. So I
Have
do.
you had a skydiver come to you and be like, "Hey, I want to get some life insurance," and you're just like, "Fuck no,
Well,
sorry, bro,
yeah.
we can't insure you."
it's more the underwriters, right?
Yeah, I
that
mean,
they're like, we're not
You
gonna.
can't. So I have one company that will do life policies, but you can't jump that much. You can't be an instructor. You can't do it full time. They wouldn't be qualified for it. And I think they want you to do maybe like a max of like 50 jumps a year. So like, if you're a fun jumper that just, under 50 jumps a year, then yeah, I can get you some life insurance. But
Yeah.
past that, then they don't.
Not happening.
They don't like
Yeah.
it, and
They
certainly
don't like the statistics, even though it's,
no, yeah.
you know, the numbers. I don't feel like the numbers do justice.
No,
You know?
no, and then certainly if you base jump, they definitely won't insure you, and
Well, yeah, definitely
you
won't.
know, that's
You can get travel insurance,
yeah,
so
yeah.
at least
So
there's that. There's a couple companies that'll give you travel insurance
yeah,
for sport
yeah,
parachuting,
yeah. I've
which includes base.
yeah, because when I've traveled to like Norway and Greece for base trips, I've gotten those travel insurances.
Yeah,
It's
I'm glad I had mine.
yeah, dude.
It got me $6,000 back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I've known people that have gotten injured and had the insurance, and it's been a lifesaver. So it's
Yeah.
saves them a ton of money.
Or
So
or somebody that wanted to save $40 and not buy a Rega card.
yeah, yeah,
That just cost you $10,000 for a helicopter
yeah,
ride.
yeah, exactly.
It's nice that they have that kind of stuff over there.
Yeah, yeah, which is
It's
it's
just so
super cool.
popular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But all right. I mean, would you have any, I guess, advice to anybody new getting into the sport about safety and
Oh, keep learning.
especially,
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
yeah, especially like downsizing and
yeah. Always learn. Always ask questions. Seek out advice, especially from qualified people. Try to avoid advice from unqualified people.
yeah, you will get it.
Yeah,
You will get advice from unqualified people.
absolutely. So, try to avoid that as much as you can. Try to seek out the people that can give you quality advice. Take courses. Keep learning.
Yeah.
I mean, it just learn, 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 and
Yeah.
that's the best way
I,
to keep yourself alive, and
yeah.
uninjured is
Don't get complacent.
yeah. Don't get complacency. That's a big hurt factor in our sport is complacency and
Complacency.
yeah. Trying to be being humble, knowing your skill level and not trying to think that you have more skill than you do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
know your
I think you'll.
limits.
Yeah.
That's,
I think you'll also make more friends that way.
oh, for
You
sure.
know.
Yeah.
You'll make more friends and you'll learn more that way
Hmm.
if you're humble and you're not the guy that's like, oh, I can swoop
Yeah.
or I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you're underestimating my skills.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't be
Absolutely.
that guy.
No, you don't want to be.
No,
You don't want to be that guy.
you learn more, you have more fun, and you definitely make more friends because
Yeah.
the seasoned people are going to want to hang out with you more
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Absolutely.
teach you more because you're willing to actually learn and take the knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. When someone is willing to learn, like I will give them all my time. You know what I mean? I will sit down there with them, and I don't charge for my advice. Obviously
Yeah.
courses are different. That's just.
Yeah.
But like, just normal advice. I don't. I will give them all the time they want, and they want to listen. Absolutely. I will just hand out advice as much as possible, and when someone's willing to learn, and someone's willing to accept that advice, and
Yeah.
but
Goes a long way.
keep
Double
keep
that.
seeking. Yeah.
Double that for base too.
Oh, for sure.
Find somebody qualified.
Yeah, and in the base world, that's a growing trend that we're seeing. Is back in the day, people learned how to base jump with like kind of the mentorship program. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
a buddy took you and you did ground crews and you learned that way, and then they taught you how to pack, and then they started taking you on jumps, and it was a one-on-one kind of system, and you just learned by experience, and you talk about it and everything like that. And I've taught a lot of people to jump that way. I have a lot of friends that I've taught, especially when I was in New York. I taught a whole crew up there how to base jump, and that's the best way to do it. But the problem is now is like these first jump courses have gotten so popularized, and they have 200 jumps, and they're going to take this first jump course, and then they go home and they have no mentor, and they're doing dumb, stupid stuff, and they go to Moab way too early because everybody's doing it, and Moab is a dangerous place. That can really mess
I'd like
you
to
up.
go to the Turkey Boogie sometime.
Yeah,
but
and I've been
maybe next year.
yeah, I've been going to the
maybe.
Turkey Boogie since like '05, '06. I went there for so many years, and it's just that was, those are, Moab is one of my favorite places on earth. It's just,
Yeah.
that place is awesome. But
Yeah, I was pretty bummed. I went over to take a base course, and I just got current in April. Then I went over there to take a course, and I was really looking forward to the Brento and then the Lauterbrunnen, the
yeah,
second and third stops, and
yeah, and then
I was so close. I was so close. Like, I didn't even want to go to Croatia. It was
yeah,
just another bridge, but
yeah,
that's where we started, so that's where I
yeah,
went.
yeah.
And
That's all right. Yeah.
but yeah, that's how I started too. Mentor Mo taught me how to base jump at first, and
Okay. Yeah.
obviously he's passed away.
Yeah. It was a shame.
And
So.
yeah, so
But yeah,
when I
that's.
got back into it, I kind of got current with. I went with the Bobs just because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
he's been around for a really long
Oh,
time.
for sure, and he teaches really good, and I've known Scotty for a long time now, and he's good people, and he cares about his teaching and stuff like that, and most
Yeah,
of the people do, they care about the teaching, and they teach really well, and most of the people that run the first jump courses, all of them do. The problem is when they leave the first jump course, they don't have the mentor when they go home. You know,
yeah,
it's that's the issue, and so
yeah. They got
they.
everybody wants to rush, and
Oh, for
I want my
sure.
base number. I need this. I need that.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to get a 200 base
Oh
jumps. I
yeah.
need
So yeah, it's
it's
just
about quality, not quantity for sure.
exactly. And you go through your phases of trying to bust out as much of jumps as possible and
Yeah,
and whatnot. But yeah, that's another yeah. Um, I feel like it really needs to go back. There was a point of time that I wanted to teach like first jump courses in base, and then I just I really thought about it, and it was like people need to learn the mentorship way. Like I don't want
it's
to.
a lot of responsibility too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't think. I mean, people know it's dangerous, but I feel like sometimes they just don't know actually how dangerous it can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you forget one small little step
Uh-huh.
and you misroute your bridle or
Oh
something,
yeah.
or
It's
and that's
yeah.
it.
You read about those
That's
fatalities
it.
and you go, why? Like, how
Yeah,
did that
like
happen? You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't have happened. Like a misrouted bridle. You
like there's no
no,
reason for it.
no. It just
Yeah,
unbelievable. So
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, all right. Well,
yeah,
we're coming up on what over an hour, so
yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're at
appreciate you
about an
coming
hour and
on,
12.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
appreciate you coming
So,
on.
yeah, yeah. I guess any more questions you have? I know you said you want to talk about rigging or anything like that, or any.
Uh,
Why don't we
I
do
don't know.
that in another episode?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
If you want to come
If you
back, that
want
would be
to.
cool.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that would be a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah.
yeah.
No
We'll
problem.
do it. We'll just do a whole episode on just rigging,
Yeah, yeah,
what it takes to get your rigger's ticket,
yeah, yeah,
rigging questions,
Yeah.
yeah.
etc.
Absolutely.
Gear
So,
maintenance,
yeah, that's a.
what gear, what you can maintenance yourself as a fun jumper and what you cannot,
Hmm.
stuff like that. I
Oh,
think that'd be a good one.
Yeah, learn.
I do
So
have one more question
Yeah,
for you,
yeah,
Jeff.
yeah. Absolutely.
Before we wrap this up, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
Oh no,
sorry.
no.
Um, Joe had mentioned that your nickname is Fluffy.
Yes.
How did that come about? How did you get
Oh,
the nickname Fluffy?
that's it's the funny. I guess the funny story about the fluffy, like nobody really knows. I guess the true origin of how I got my nickname, but there's probably 15, 20 different stories out there of how I got my nickname. And if you get up front of 100 people and you tell the most messed up story, I will get up right behind you and go, "Yep, 100% true." You know what I mean? Like,
Sure, that's
yeah,
it.
that's it.
All
Yeah,
right.
That's the one.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think he's right.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the fun, of over the years, like someone would go, "Oh, I know how he got it," and they say the story. I'm like, "Well, that was that time period. Yeah, that was like that was."
At that particular point in time,
Yeah,
that sounds
yeah,
accurate.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've had that nickname for forever now. So there's
Well, it can remain shrouded in mystery.
yeah, I think that's kind of the
That's
fun
kind
of
of
it.
the fun part about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Nobody really knows the origin of how it got. It's just there's probably literally 15 different 20 different stories of how I got my nickname, and I will agree to all of them. I'm like, yeah, 100% true.
You going to Bridge Day this year?
So I am. I'm not gonna jump, but again, I wanted to like see a bunch of people and
Awesome.
you know, I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
gonna go. So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You know, I'm debating if I'm gonna pack or you know, I might just go down to the landing area and pack for people if they want to, you know, pay for a pack
Yeah.
job. I used to pack for Chuma doing the tandems there.
Yeah.
My buddy is. I got when I stopped doing that. Now my buddy is doing that. So I might just either help him out, just kind of assist him. I might just set up a tarp and say, hey, if you want to pay for a pack job, I'm not like. I don't really care if I do work or not. I could just sit down there all day, but I really just want to go
Hang
down
out.
there, you know, because I've been. I think my first bridge day was '05, so you know,
Uh,
it's. I just want to see all those people and go down there and hang out. You know, those people
Yeah, it's cool just to hang out.
yeah, yeah. See, you know,
Sometimes I go to the DZ too, and I don't even jump.
yeah,
I just go up and
yeah,
hang
yeah.
out.
It's the camaraderie, you know. It's good. So
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I'll probably see you there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely. I'm sure you'll
uh,
see me there at some point. You know, I'll
yeah.
definitely be down at the landing area. You gonna be jumping?
Yeah.
So
Yep. I'm gonna take 2 rigs this year.
cool, cool.
Try to get a couple extra jumps
Yeah,
in.
yeah. So I'll be down at the landing area for sure. I'll probably be over like by the tandem packing area. So I'll be there, you know,
Cool.
just chilling out. So
Sounds good.
cool. So hey,
Yeah.
thanks for having me on here, and
Yeah. Thanks for coming
yeah,
on.
if you
yeah,
ever
And
if you
absolutely.
ever want me
we
back and
appreciate it.
talk about more stuff, I'm happy to. I'm always
Absolutely.
happy to share my knowledge. You know, what I mean, I want people to learn. I want people to pick up things, and you know, so always keep learning and know your gear as a rigger. Like, please know your gear. There's so many people that don't know how the gear operates and everything about
This
it.
is
Just
this is a shout out to the people with over 300 skydives who still don't pack their own rig.
yeah, or just know your gear, know how it works. You know, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing how many people don't know how gear works, or you know,
They don't know what a MART is, or a
yeah,
Collins lanyard,
yeah, or they
or
can't hook,
RSL,
or they can't hook up their canopy, or you know, it's just,
yeah, or can't hook up the 3
you know,
rings.
it's just like,
You're just putting it on and hoping somebody put it together
yeah,
correctly.
yeah. So,
Let's
so
go.
know your gear. You know, if I could, I think if I could give advice to, you know, two advices is always keep learning and know your gear.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I appreciate you
Yeah.
having me
Cool.
on, and yeah, we can do
Awesome.
this again
Yeah,
sometime.
we'll do it again for sure.
So cool.
All right, Jeff.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate
Yep,
it.
have a good one, guys.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right, take
See
it
ya.
easy. Cool.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, Jeff's a good dude, man.
Yeah, for
He's a
sure.
cool guy. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
definitely have him back on and talk about rigging and how to get your rigger's ticket and all that good stuff. Because
Dude,
there's a senior rigger and then there's a master rigger and there's a difference.
his
So
his story about getting hurt, that's gnarly, dude.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty insane.
Could you imagine if
But
somebody did not have the foresight to put a tourniquet on his leg?
yeah, you never know, man. You know,
Wow.
those are one of those things like coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, what would have happened if this? You know,
Yeah, he would have died if they didn't.
possibly could.
I
Yeah,
mean,
possibly could have. Yeah,
from the way he
you know,
described it, sounds like he probably would have.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I know that Olga, when she got injured, she had to get blood transfusion too. But I can only imagine. I mean, he had a
Yeah.
compound femur, so I'm sure it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad he's doing good. I was really interested in hearing his perspective on if he was going to jump again and what his thoughts were. And
Yeah,
so,
that's I think until you're in that position, like it's a hard
it's hard to
question to
tell.
answer. Like, I myself sitting here, I would say, oh yeah, I'd go back and jump as soon as I was healthy. But also when you almost die and you have
Yeah,
kids and a family, maybe not. So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, my injury was not good, but it certainly wasn't to the extent of his. So the thought never crossed my mind.
right,
Like,
yeah,
oh, I need to get back to jumping ASAP.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I mean, even when I hurt my tailbone, I was just like, just make sure you don't land on your butt. You'll be fine.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
just don't land on your butt.
yeah. Sometimes you just gotta know when to just sit back and relax and let some stuff heal and take a break.
Yeah.
or upsize your canopy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, I'm glad we had Jeff on. He's welcome back anytime. We'll definitely do another one with
For
him.
sure. For sure. Lots of good advice.
Good stuff.
All right, man. So next
Yeah.
episode, all about Bridge Day, huh?
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll get some footage. I'll definitely have some footage of my jumps. But
All right.
yeah, we can talk about Bridge Day and what went down, who did what,
Right on. The carnage.
the carnage.
The carnage. I'm very excited to do this next year. Like I told you I was texting you, I've already planted the seeds. When do
Yeah.
I need to register? Like is it
July, I think. I think July they usually open registration. You
okay, so
can
it's
register as soon as July, I think.
it's not like this Bridge Day ends and then you got to register right away because it fills up or
No,
anything.
no,
Okay.
no. Don't. Yeah, just don't wait till the last minute to register. And they ask you not to wait till last minute to get your check-in. Right, check-in starts on Friday at noon. They ask you not to get there Saturday morning to check in.
Right. Okay.
Because some people do that. They get there and then they rush and because they couldn't get Friday off or something.
All right.
But
Well, I'll save all my Bridge Day questions for the next episode because
yep.
I wanna
Take a
do
jump
that.
course. Take a first jump course, even if it's for Bridge Day. Like, I don't think people understand how different your exit is from exiting a plane.
Sure.
And it's a totally different feeling, totally different, exit body position. You got to know what you're doing when you exit, or who knows?
Yeah. Well, people teaching the first jump course now.
Yeah. So,
All right, man.
recommended. Sounds good.
All right. So I will not see you on Friday. No, you're
Negative.
doing Bridge Day. Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be driving towards Bridge Day.
All right. I'm gonna try to get a
So,
couple in. So,
all right. Well, let me know.
all right, brother. We'll talk to you next
Sounds
week.
good. See you guys. Blue
Blue
skies.
skies.